Hi, everybody. My name is Max Selpst. I am a first year cardiothoracic surgery resident in San Antonio, Texas. I was born and raised in Houston, Texas, um, where I grew up playing baseball, playing tennis, getting a little bit into weightlifting in high school. Then went to college at A&M, where joined the fraternity Kappa Sigma, partied my ass off in college, then got down to back to Houston for med school at UT Houston. And like I said, now I'm in San Antonio as a CT surgery resident doing what I love and what I'm meant to do.
Awesome. And I definitely want to go back and talk about your transition from being in med school to your residency, because I think that's that'll reveal a lot of important lessons. But the first thing that I want to kind of go back to is where you were before you started, because you definitely weren't a beginner in the gym. And I would even say that you were like intermediate for sure before following a structured program inside of the Built Bodies community. So why don't you give everyone a good idea of like where you were before and what specifically you were doing with nutrition and training?
Yeah, so I kind of started lifting maybe it was sophomore year of high school. One of my buddies, like one of my best friends at the time, he was on the football team and we wanted to lift after hours and he was showing me the ropes. So in high school, it was kind of like every day we'd go lift or every weekday. And then on the weekends with a couple of my other friends that were on the football team and loved it. But that was really all it was. Never tracking or didn't take it too seriously, just kind of hanging out with the boys and weightlifting. Then in college was where I downloaded my Fitness Pal, went online to that iifym.com to calculate
Okay.
my macros and put
Mhm.
that into my Fitness Pal and worked out almost every day after classes, like Monday through Friday with my roommate. We'd go to the gym and I track my macros. And I never, even though I did that, in college, partying every weekend, drinking every weekend, and then eating like crap. I never saw results doing that. I always just was kind of maintaining, I guess.
Mhm.
I never had like a great body. I never had a six pack, but like I could, and I would also never really push myself in the gym. We would just kind of lift the same weights, do the same circuits that I created by researching on YouTube, Jeff Cavalier, all that fun stuff. Um, and that was kind of my college lifting experience. I didn't really take it too far, and I would track for a little bit at a time, and then would go off the wagon by like not tracking, having weekends out in a row, and then fall off, and then think, oh, I got to get my stuff together a couple weeks later and start tracking again. Uh,
Gotcha.
so then through med school, then getting into med school, it was even worse because in med school there was an exam like every month.
Mhm.
And in my mind, studying was the primary focus above everything. So I wouldn't lift if I had to study, I had to study, and I didn't have time to go do a lift. I didn't have time to meal prep for sure. Um, so like for 2 weeks before every test, everything went to the wayside. And then after the test, I'd think, okay, now I can do it, and I'd lift for maybe a week, maybe a couple times in the gym, eat a few healthy meals, but then the next test would be coming up and it would all go to the wayside again. So that's where I kind of gained more weight, and wasn't really sticking to any regiment, totally wasn't tracking anymore,
Gotcha.
and didn't make it to the gym as much either.
Mhm.
There were some components to that too. Like I didn't live in an apartment with a gym anymore. I didn't buy a gym membership like I did like I had an apartment with a gym in college.
Mhm.
Um, and it was just harder to meal prep too, or maybe that was just the excuse I made at the time. But
We'll talk about that.
but
But it's interesting to see because you started from I would say, a relatively young age, um, being cognizant of like what tracking macros are, going to the gym, following somewhat of a structured program, yet it didn't reveal changes in your body that you really wanted to see. So, um, the audience doesn't really know what your physique looked like compared to what it looks like now. How would you describe, in your own words, kind of where you were right before starting with us? I believe you were around 206, 208 pounds, but how would you describe your physique at that point?
Right when we had started, I definitely wanted to prove to myself that I could stick to a regiment before like investing all the money, investing all the time into training. So I lifted 5 days a week for a month straight,
Okay.
and tracked. So my physique was already a little better, but I'd say like before that time period, so even like 3 or 4 months before that, um, I mean, I had I thought I would describe myself to my own self. We all say the worst things to ourselves. I would say I was fat as shit when no, I
Okay.
wasn't that fat. I was just chunky.
Would you say like a lot of people use the word skinny fat?
I don't
I feel
think so.
like you had a pretty good amount of muscle though.
From lifting for so long, even though it was like maybe let's call it recreational lifting or
Okay.
intermediate lifting. Um, I think I did have some muscle underneath. Like I feel like and genetics played a part, and I was able to keep a lot of that muscle, but it was definitely under quite a bit of fat. Uh,
Gotcha.
I didn't like taking my shirt off for swimming. Like I was self-conscious for sure about like looking fat in even t-shirts and stuff. Like my belly kind of poking forward, or if I were to bend over, like definitely love handles. Like
Mhm.
I wasn't confident in the way I looked for sure. Uh,
And what would you say was like there a specific point where you realized like I can't really do this anymore. I want to create a change?
um, trying to think if there was a specific point. I mean, yes, there was. It was like where I needed a change. What time of year was that? That was last year. Um, I had gotten back from my away rotations. In fourth year, we do these aways. We go away to another program for a month and train in whatever specialty you want to at that program. And so I was in Dallas, then I was in San Antonio, and then I was getting back home to Houston. And It was a few months before I was actually engaged to be married, and we broke off the wedding. Uh, at that time, like my life was kind of just split apart. Didn't know what I was doing, where I was going, but I knew I was sticking to med school. Like I just didn't have a home at the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Moved my shit back to my parents' house, moved in with some amazing, amazing friends, to stay in the city, to stay near med school. And had my like rotations to do at school, in vascular surgery and general surgery, all the like things I was looking forward to. And I just kind of needed I needed a place to like release the stress. And I knew weightlifting. I like I said, I've been doing it for years. Um, and two, I thought, okay, it's time to get into the gym and it's time to make a change. Um, and I want to be like in the best physical shape I can possibly be in. I was tired of not feeling confident in my own skin. I wanted to feel good in my clothes. Um, and I had toyed with the idea already for a completely different reason when I was getting ready for the wedding. I wanted to be in good shape for that. And so I was already contemplating that idea, and we had talked about it already. Um,
Mhm.
and but at that point, then it was just a completely different reason, but same idea was already in my head that like, okay,
Mhm.
let's get into shape. And this would be a fantastic way, like place to put all this energy, this like upset, this anger, this
Mhm.
sadness, and and to put it towards some like good use in a way, like
Mhm.
and make this change for the better to be healthy as well. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I appreciate you sharing that, man. I'm also curious to see to hear how your career has changed your view of fitness and how important it is for you to have it a part of your life and not let it go. Because I'm sure that, especially in the hospital, you see higher ups maybe not take care of themselves as they should. And it even falls, below that to nurses, techs, and your patients that you see every day? How has working in a hospital setting like changed your view of fitness?
It's crazy uh how unhealthy some of these healthcare providers are. I've always thought it was pretty hypocritical for someone to be extremely unhealthy and to promote healthy habits or tell their patients to lose weight. And you can't judge, and everybody has different things going on, and
For sure.
their background is. But at the same time, at a higher level, um, that's something I've always noticed. And yes, it's um, I think a lot of things play into it, but all these healthcare providers, especially like the surgeons and the residents and I guess nurses also, like everybody works super long hours. They're in the hospital all the time. They don't get to have as much time dedicated towards physical fitness. And
Mhm.
maybe kind of like my mentality when I was taking tests back in med school, everything fell to the wayside except for studying for the test. So like people probably have to go home and take care of their kids, have to
For
um,
sure.
do all these other things that we don't see, and their health falls to the wayside. That's
Mhm.
most common story I've ever heard.
Mhm.
um, but I have seen how much being overweight plays into people's health. Um, and It's a really, really big factor. It's made me see it and see my physical fitness and my health as like it's even more important than I thought before.
Mhm.
Going through undergrad, knowing I was pre med, always studied science. Going into med school, I always knew physical fitness and health was really, really important. But even now as a resident, it's way more important. Like being obese is one of the worst things you can do for your body.
Mhm.
It's probably
No,
equivalent to cancer. I would
yeah.
go as far as to say.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, I'm working in my field and having coached a lot of people in healthcare, I've noticed that trend, unfortunately. And I'm sure that, you yourself see it every day in a clinical setting. And I'm also curious because you went from studying for tests to going into your residency. But then there's different periods in your residency or blocks or whatever you call them that we've had to change your programming around. So
Mhm.
you've had to learn the art of regressions. Do you
Mhm.
feel like that skill would have helped you earlier on when you had other things that kind of took up
One-
priority?
100%. It would have
And
helped at that time.
and for those of you who don't know what regressions are, it's as simple as you're going to the gym 5 days a week while your schedule is pretty light. As soon as your schedule picks up, you commit to 2 to 3. And it's as simple as that because what most people don't realize is that if you don't have a way to at least maintain some of that momentum, your results are always going to be up and down, up and down, up and down, instead of up, maintain, up, maintain, up, maintain. And it's something that a lot of people with kind of this all or nothing or perfectionist mindset really struggle with. And I think that that's something that we've had to work through a lot over the last year that we've been working together. There's been times where you've been in the gym as much as 5 to 6 times a week. And then there's been other times where it's like 2 to 3. Some days, maybe some weeks you might miss even more than that. But again, you're still keeping that momentum.
Yeah.
I think it's incredibly important. I'm curious about what surprised you about this entire process once you started.
Oh, the first thing that comes to mind was my progress, like seeing
Okay.
my body change. That surprised me.
It
Like
was quicker than you thought.
it was quicker than I thought, um, on more calories than I thought it would work on. Like, what was I eating when we first started? Like 2,400 calories or 25?
Yeah, we started you around 23, 24, but
Yeah.
I remember our conversations leading up to that.
Yeah.
You had told me, "Hey, I'm trying to do 1600, 1700." And when I asked you why you were doing that, you were like, "Well, I want to lose weight quicker."
Mhm.
And obviously, I have a different method, different view of that, but why do you feel like that was, your go-to method at that point?
I felt like I think from going on that IIFYM website, that was kind of the macros it told me to hit to lose. Probably I'd probably put in like an aggressive weight loss. So you can do like mild, medium, or aggressive.
Gotcha.
which is probably
Who would not pick aggressive?
exactly. Let's fucking go. We're getting at it.
And what did you notice about taking the aggressive approach that kind of made you appreciate how I approached your calories?
It wasn't sustainable. Like 1,600 calories was just painful to try and get through in the day. I
Mhm.
don't know. There's probably better words to describe it, but to as like a 6'1", nearly 200-pound dude that's was trying to stay active, 1,600 calories was not enough
Mhm.
in the day. So it was just rough to try and hit those macros and still feel good in the day during the day and still have enough energy for the gym. And that was kind of always my mentality. I also was always so afraid to increase my calories and to bulk because I
Mhm.
never truly did a cut throughout all my
Okay,
years of lifting. So I never had the confidence that, okay, I can put on this extra weight and it will come off. Like, don't worry, it will come off.
that's right.
And I never had that confidence. So I think anytime I always tracked my macros, it was always to be in a deficit, no matter how
Gotcha.
the deficit was.
So you've been like kind of dieting your whole life, basically, or you
Basically,
feel like you have.
I feel like I have. Anytime I would track, it'd be a deficit. I guess there was a point, so I went vegan for like a year or two.
Okay.
And at that point, it was cool because I could eat so much whole foods and I could eat as much as I want. But that was during the pandemic, like running,
Mhm.
like not going to gyms, but doing like garage workouts and eating definitely all whole foods was a way to go. It was a
Gotcha.
and I lost some weight, but I never, was in it wasn't my best shape or didn't
Mhm.
do any changes that I wanted to see really.
Gotcha. And really, the changes that you were looking to see are more
More about
composition. Like you weren't necessarily interested in losing a certain number on the scale. You just wanted to be lean. You wanted your muscles to pop, and you wanted to be quote unquote toned, right?
yeah, I wanted to be I wanted to be ripped.
Okay.
I wanted all that. Wanted a six pack.
Mhm.
Like I'd never had a six pack.
Mission accomplished.
I'm getting like week 3.
Yeah.
Which was like
It
I was like, yeah,
happened pretty quick.
it
A
was
lot
really
of
it was so surprising that on so
yeah.
many calories. But I guess when you work out 5 days a week and push myself every single time I'm in the gym, I never
Mhm.
pushed myself like that. And it wasn't like because you were there yelling in my ear or
Yeah.
something like that. I think it was also mainly one the accountability partner being there every week, but also the app that you have and the weight training that you have, and then being able to see in the gym
Mhm.
the next day the weights I did before
That's
and
right.
try and push myself and put in a bigger number the next time and the next
Mhm.
just day after
Yeah.
day.
Yeah. And before you did a structured training program like this, it was kind of like you went in the gym, you were still in there, but you were kind of just going through the motions, not necessarily like chasing PRs, right?
Yeah, I never really was chasing PRs. I'd go with friends, like back in college. I'd go with my roommate. I'd go with my friends, and maybe those were the times. Maybe if I went with a new friend, that I'd push myself because maybe they lifted more than me, so I'd try and lift
Mhm.
what they did. But whenever I was in the gym regularly with my roommate, it was I had on my notes app like the order of the exercises that we would do, kind of the sets, the reps, but never the weights.
Okay.
Because
Gotcha.
and we would just kind of do those 3 sets of like the crazy 21s with the curl bar and
Okay.
it was
Gotcha.
always the same weight every time like for
Gotcha.
4 years straight, like going to the
Yeah.
gym.
I call that fluffing and pumping.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that's pretty common, and definitely a lot different than like following different rep ranges for different phases of the program. And I think that you did really well because you had specific targets you were shooting for, and you were like, okay, if I can increase weight, like I will. And I think you were pretty shocked as to how like how much stronger you got. And that alone was the main reason, in my opinion, for your body changing so fast is you had the skill and the ability to push yourself pretty hard, which takes some time for people to learn.
I could totally see that. Like I definitely not to toot my own horn, but yes, I had a lot of years of being in the gym and being
Hmm.
comfortable in the gym, and practicing good form for multiple exercises.
Exactly.
I definitely think that played to my success
Hmm.
in this was that I wasn't a novice going into the gym, and
100%.
um,
Hmm.
so I was able, like you just said, was able to push myself, and
Yeah.
like, now I lift
Hmm.
at least twice as much in almost every exercise, sometimes more. Uh,
Yeah.
and that's a fucking great feeling.
Yeah. I bet it is. It's empowering. I want to rewind way back into your childhood because I am extremely fascinated as to how children grow up in terms of their relationship with food. And
Okay.
I think that that plays a very big role. And I'm sure that you see this in a clinical setting when children come in, maybe they're overweight, their parents are overweight. I think that it's so fascinating for us to look at that as an example. So I'm curious, what was your relationship like with food growing up? And I know that you're part of the tribe, you're Jewish. In our culture, there's definitely a lot of like Jewish guilt. I'm also Latino. I can say that Latinos definitely have a lot of guilt around food, and our culture kind of revolves around it. We're used to eating a lot during the weekends, having get togethers, that kind of thing. So I would like to hear kind of like your view of food from a young age.
Yeah. Definitely growing up in a Jewish household. Both my parents are Jewish. We were very Reformed Jewish. My grandparents are Jewish. So like holidays and stuff, it's a smorgasbord of food, and you'd have to keep like everybody's like, oh, try this, eat
Hmm.
this, and oh, try this off my plate. Try like, and also my parents are like that 24/7. So at
Hmm.
home it was like that. I don't think I had a super unhealthy relationship with food. Um, my parents definitely kept a lot of healthy foods in the house and tried to
Hmm.
and always fed us a balanced diet. There was when I was older and wanted like the unhealthy things, then I guess sometimes we got that. Like I remember in high school, um, or even like middle school, I'd come home from school and just eat like a whole bag of Cheez-Its or something like that. There's
Gotcha.
And then in high school, when I could drive, me and my buddy Michael, we'd go to Whataburger almost every day. And
Okay.
so um, I think, but we were also very active and I was on the
Hmm.
tennis team. And so we had tennis practice every day. So I definitely was overweight, I think, but I wasn't super unhealthy, like
Hmm.
wasn't obese or anything, like wasn't quite there yet. It was kind of in,
Yep.
I guess,
Hmm.
and just it wasn't so bad.
Hmm. Of
Also in high school, you're just growing. So like going through
course.
that. So it wasn't so terrible, but I definitely ate whatever I want uh,
Yeah.
growing
And
up.
it's
And
safe to say that growing into adulthood, like you're still a foodie at heart, like you still enjoy good food, right?
yes, for sure.
I'm curious to hear how macros and learning the ability to track your macros has given you the ability to eat foods that you like, but also still obviously accomplish a physique that you're super proud of.
Yeah. Um, I would say that tracking my macros and learning to do that 100 like allows you to eat what you want and look the way you want
Hmm.
rather than hinder you if you're tracking it right and you understand um, your diet, because you can kind of like track ahead of time, or you know what the macros are in that steak that you really want. And so
Hmm.
that allows me to plan throughout the day. Okay, well then I'm gonna have the fat-free Greek yogurt for breakfast and like the turkey sandwich instead of Chick-fil-A kind of thing
For sure.
for lunch, so that I can have the food that I want. Or even if it's just the cake after dinner, like then I'll have lower carbs and lower fat throughout the day.
Hmm.
Um, Rather than looking at tracking my macros as like a way to restrict my diet. It's more of a way
100%.
to look at my diet and fit in what I want.
Yeah.
Like I was on call the other night and it was probably around midnight. I went down to the 24-hour thing, and I had enough macros for a Kit Kat bar. And so, and I love Kit
Yeah.
Kat. So I was like looking at it and I thought about it. I was gonna get it. And then just in my own head, I told myself like, I'd rather have a whole nother meal instead.
Mhm.
So I just didn't do it so I could have something else. But at the same time, when I looked at it and saw that I had more than enough macros for the Kit Kat, I was like, this is great. This
Yeah.
is awesome.
I mean, it would have allowed you to have that Kit Kat bar without thinking, "Oh, I'm having bad food," or "Oh, I shouldn't be having this." Like you had the calories for it, you had the macros, and as
Yeah.
long as you were eating healthy that day, like you could have done it.
Yeah.
But you made a conscious decision based off of, fueling your body more efficiently than having something like, to snack on that wasn't really going to satisfy you.
Exactly. But like, yeah, to your point, I now look at it as not eating something unhealthy, but as eating something to hit my macros. It's just another thing that's going to be in there and like tracking the app, and that's that it goes towards my macros for the day, and
Mhm.
regardless of what it is. Now that we could probably dissect that then
For sure.
like for another couple hours, but then that gets into, well, are you feeding yourself with healthy things rather than
Of
processed?
course.
But
Definitely, you want to have at least 80% of your food coming from nutrient dense food sources. And, most of the time you'll eat 100%.
yeah,
Really, macros just give you the ability to not feel guilty
yeah,
when you do indulge in something that people deem bad, you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
And if you compare yourself today to where you were before, what do you feel like is the biggest difference? And this doesn't have to be like a physical thing. It's maybe just like something that you've noticed as a result of like building a physique that you're super proud of.
I'm definitely more confident. Um,
How do you feel like that shows up like in different parts of your life?
I'm starting to speak up for things that I want rather than be a super people pleaser like how I used to be. And I'm still like definitely a people pleaser at heart, but
Mhm.
trying to be more confident and comfortable in my skin, which I am more comfortable in my skin, but I think that allows me to speak up for myself more. Um, and it allows me to be more confident in all aspects of my life. Like what, and you know, I hate to keep talking about work, but like, I'm at work 80 hours a week. So like there, I'm more confident too in my decisions, in how I carry myself, how I speak to others. Um, I feel like I'm more confident and I'm more disciplined now, and have more self control, especially when it comes to food, and controlling my
Mhm.
time, though, to make sure I do the things that I want to do. Like when I have such limited time off, if I want to get a workout in, I'm going to go get the workout in, and I'm going to tell
Mhm.
those that I love that are around me, like, I need this. And rather than, okay, they want me around. Okay, I'll skip the workout for the day.
Yep, totally get that.
Like, and because really that's kind of what my life is kind of revolving around, is work, working out, meal prepping, and then the few weekends I have off. Okay, let's have some fun.
Mhm.
uh,
Yeah, I totally get that. And what would you tell someone that's kind of like on the fence and not necessarily thinking about our coaching program, but thinking about taking their fitness to like the level that you did, getting
mhm.
the macros down, getting the training program down, having someone hold them accountable? Again, it doesn't need to be built bodies, but for anyone who does see this, I think coaching such a valuable tool
Oh yeah.
that they can use to really change so many other parts of your life as we just discussed. Like, what would you say to someone that's really on the fence about it?
I would tell them to do it. Jump like both feet in wholeheartedly. Kind of like what you said, like not even built bodies or just training in general.
Mhm.
My girlfriend, like I told her, 100% do it. Once it, like if you can afford it, do it, because
Mhm.
your health is like the most important thing you can invest in. And to just have this structured platform, have somebody that's like a quote unquote like a professional telling you and giving you the guide on what to do to get into the shape that you want. um, I think is extremely important.
Mhm.
We got to move our bodies, got to build as much muscle as possible. Like there's there's articles that have correlated, increased muscle mass with longevity, with decreased mortality and living longer lives. Um, I'd say it should be the same as paying your electric bill. Like, I would tell anybody to do it
Yeah.
100%. Um, yeah, trying to think of another way to put it, but that's
I think that's well said. I mean, some people believe that getting help with their training and nutrition will complicate their lives instead of make it easier.
mm-hmm.
And they associate things like feeling unconfident and feeling unhealthy and overweight with easy instead of looking at it as like we're just replacing everything that what you're currently doing. You're already spending the time doing these things. A lot of people like work out,
Yeah.
they're in the gym busting their ass, but they're not seeing any changes. So a lot of times people believe that it will actually add more to their plate, when in reality, it will really just replace the things that you're already doing and
Yeah.
make you feel much better about it.
One way I can see that, like a way that I probably used to look at it, or people look at it, is, well, if I hire a trainer, then they're going to tell me to do all these extra things, and I already have 100 things to do per day. Like,
Mhm.
I can't have somebody add more to my plate. But kind of like how you just said, they're already going to the gym, or maybe they're already trying to, have that skinny margarita when they go out. They're already
Mhm.
trying to diet and be in a calorie deficit, but they're not quite doing it the right way. Hiring that trainer doesn't add 10 more things to your to-do list. It really just changes the things that are already on your to-do list and makes you
Yeah.
do it better and more efficiently and get to your goals faster and and more sustainably. Like,
Mhm.
sustainably is a word, but like, because so many times have I tried, like I've said, when to cut, and I'll just put myself in a 1,600 calorie deficit, and
Mhm.
it's never sustainable. Uh,
Yeah.
I've seen so many of my friends try that too, and it's
Mhm.
sustainable.
Yeah, I totally agree. Now, for the last thing, I have a lightning round, which are kind of just some fun questions. So, what is your favorite go-to meal?
Favorite go to, like, to meal prep or to buy like out?
I would say not meal prep, just your favorite like macro friendly thing that you might have curated for yourself over the last year. For
Oh,
me, it's like my yogurt bowl is
that's,
just like I have that every day and I have it every night. It's like a delicacy to me. And it's my way of making like a healthier alternative or lower calorie alternative than like ice cream, for example. And it satisfies my sweet tooth. It's got fruit in it. It's amazing. What is
yeah.
that for you?
It used to be the Greek yogurt until you put me onto the oatmeal with blueberry,
Okay.
dark chocolate, and peanut butter and honey.
Okay.
That is like what I look forward to at the end of every day. It's quick,
Yeah.
like, the longest part is waiting for the oatmeal to cook in the microwave.
Yeah, that's right. That will knock you the F out,
Yeah,
a
yeah,
hundred percent.
that's so and it's great.
Yeah,
But it did used to be Greek yogurt, and I still eat Greek yogurt every day. But now it's that.
awesome. All right, and what's your favorite pump up song right now?
Pump up song, like that, by Future and Kendrick Lamar. If I put that
Okay.
on, it's over.
Okay, gotcha. Cool. All right, and then this last one here, I'm going to put you in the coaching seat, and you happen to be a medical doctor. So if you're listening to this, I would definitely take his advice. What's one piece of advice you'd give your son or daughter about health, knowing what you know now?
I'd say health is the key to a long and happy life. Um, Staying physically fit and physically active kind of unlocks anything you want to do in life. If you can move your body, which is 100% a privilege, like, I'm getting chills saying that because I see it every day in the hospital. It is not
Hmm.
given, it is a privilege. Um, then you can do whatever you want in life. You can go climb the tallest mountain and see a view that nobody else can see.
Hmm.
And you'll live longer too. So taking care of your body, you only get one body. Taking
Hmm.
care of it should be the most important thing you do in your life.
Yeah. Well, I love that. I actually have one more. I lied. One thing you'll never do again, fitness wise. I love this question.
One thing I would never do again.
Yeah, maybe a trend or a strategy that you've tried before. What's one thing that you'll never go back to?
Eating vegan. Never again.
I thought you were gonna say 1600 calorie days, but
Oh,
I think that that one's way better.
my God, when my grandfather gave me a tofurkey on Thanksgiving, what that was awful. And then the worst feeling was I grew up hunting. Like, that's what
Uh,
we took you hunting for your first
yeah.
one. Um, Going hunting that year, I didn't shoot anything for
Uh,
listening, but it was the worst feeling being in that deer stand and then realizing, wait, I actually like I won't eat it if so I
yeah.
shouldn't be here because I was
Yeah.
raised like when you hunt, you use every part of that animal. Uh,
For sure.
you don't hunt for sport, so like that was also a weird feeling. But in terms of
Yeah.
wise, yeah, no, never again.
Yeah. Damn, that's wild. I didn't think you were gonna say that, but that's like so true.
I like to look at the silver lining of things. I definitely think when I ate vegan, I learned a lot about cooking, a lot more
Okay.
than I did before. So that does translate now in other aspects of having gone through that and tried so many different recipes, just to try and make good food out of
Yeah.
not so great tasting food. Uh,
Yeah.
so I think I've learned things from it and better off for it, but yeah, would not recommend it.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you being on the podcast, man. I'm very excited for people to hear about your story and how you've, went from medical school to now your residency and how you're balancing all of that. I think that it's going to teach a lot of people that they can do it. And you're working 80-hour weeks still making it happen. It's incredibly inspiring. And I think that people are going to be super shocked to hear that that's even possible.
Oh yeah, yeah, it's
Yeah.
possible.
All
Yeah,
right.
take the time for it. It is.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you so much, man.
Mhm.
I'm honored to be on.
Awesome, man.